Today, we are going to attempt to unravel what's going on with Cadillac. I'm Justin.
And I am Aaron. This is Cousin Vivek.
This is Cousin Brian. And we are here today to talk about a bunch of incredible Cadillacs. But before we get started, please subscribe for more content like this down below. And if you like our t-shirts, check out the link and we will absolutely be happy to sell you one. So what do we have here today, Aaron?
Well, these are not your daddy's caddies.
Actually, I think technically everyone in this video is a father.
Okay, that may be true. So maybe
so
these
they
are
are
your daddy's caddies.
Right.
But these are the highest performance Cadillacs, but there's some confusion to it.
Right.
Because we got a Blackwings here.
No Blackwing.
But we have V's here.
Yeah, but they're
And
Blackwings.
Yeah.
And this is a V.
But the V is the Blackwing.
No, you can buy a different V that's not a Blackwing.
Okay, but you get the supercharged V8.
I promise this is not a Laurel and Hardy bit. We're going to have Cousin Vivek explain the mess that's going on with Cadillac right now. But first, we are going to start with the rarest of the Cadillacs that's out here today. Aaron, I'm going to pass it off to you.
All right, Vivek, so we've got a 2022 Cadillac CT5V Blackwing,
Yep.
1903 edition. Now, these are numbered cars, right?
Yeah, so Cadillac came up with a lot of like special editions. Most people think it's just to throw the collector badge on there and get a little bit of money out of some specific buyers.
Most people are not wrong.
Yeah, they are correct. They are absolutely correct. And so whenever one goes up for sale on the forums and on Facebook, they're always like, "Who would buy these?" And I'm like, "Dum dum dum." But it feels neat because they technically made 120 of these, one for each year that Cadillac existed.
Okay.
And the 1902, which is the first year, was auctioned off for charity for a very high amount of money, as those charity cars do, and GM always does.
Yeah.
This is the 1903 car, so it's the very next year.
I see. So the 1903 is actually the number of the car.
Yeah, and actually
Wow.
there's a plate in the door sill that shows 1903 edition. It bears the logo of Cadillac from that year, which is neat. So it actually has that old vintage thing in there. That 1903 is part of the VIN now. And you know, all these cars have a very specific nameplate on the steering wheel that show what it is. And this one has a 9.6. The 9 is a collector edition, and then the 6 is 6-speed V8 instead of the automatic. And then the rest is the number of the vehicle, and mine says 1903.
So out of the 120 of them, do you know how many were manual, how many automatic?
I don't. I want to say the take rate on the manual was higher. I think it's always been on this car, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you said this is the most fun car you own, and you own some very nice cars.
Yeah, that caught me by surprise too. I mean, you've seen my other cars, but for some reason this one's just ruckus. It's fun because you can throw it around a corner, you can get loose and slide around if you want, or you can be completely civil. Even though it has naked carbon racing seats, they have massage in it. You know, it's a wild set of options, and so you can drive it like a Cadillac, or you can drive it like a Z06 Corvette with a manual. You know,
Wow.
I mean, it's really, really fun. I mean, if I'm going to the track, this is actually what I would prefer to take.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So let's talk performance then. What is this thing rocking?
It's 668 horsepower. It's the twin supercharged, the same motor than the Z06 at the same time as the C7, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
And what about suspension?
So it's a performance suspension, and you know, this one has the carbon ceramic brakes. This is the first car I've ever owned with carbon ceramic brakes, and so maybe that's one of the reasons I like it so much, is the brakes are incredible. I mean, it's just, I've never felt anything like it. No brake dust, you know, and theoretically the rotors should last forever. They don't cost as much as Ferrari and Porsche as far as their rotor replacement if you ever get in that situation.
Yeah.
It is, you know, the suspension's fully adjustable, so you can actually make it pretty soft and pretty aggressive.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been pretty neat.
Well, maybe this is not your daddy's caddy with this carbon fiber exposed rear seat. This is beautiful.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want muddy footprints on that.
No, actually, so I have a very, very young baby, and then I have 2 older kids. And so when we go in this car, I put her in the front, in the car seat and everything. But yeah, and then the big kids and even my wife will ride in the back, and then would go. But it's really great for even driving daily.
Yeah, certainly. For a car with this much juice, to have that much legroom in the back seat
Yep.
is really something else. The way you know it's a Blackwing, on the V badge, it says Blackwing.
Yeah. Well, so initially, because I had a 22 before this, and it didn't say Blackwing anywhere on the car, and everybody was like, "How do you know? Why would you not use the Blackwing term anywhere? It wasn't on the sides, wasn't anywhere." And so then they added this for 23, and then they sent these badges to everybody who had a 22, so you could get it on there as well.
Another bang-up job at the marketing department at Cadillac. So this thing looks great, the engine looks great, but can we hear this start up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Very nice. So that was actually not even in V mode, that's the regular exhaust, but now it is in V mode. It's got a lot deeper grumble to it. Sounds fantastic. That's some snap, crackle, and pop from this Caddy. So really, this is a four-door Z06.
Yeah.
Everybody, at least from my generation, and probably a bit of yours too, we remember Cadillac just being the old people cars, the sedans that were going around,
Yeah.
big and heavy. There was no performance Cadillac when we were growing up.
Right. And I'd like to think that's changed, but I think maybe I just got old, so I'm not sure.
Maybe that's true. I mean, they always had the big V8s in
Yeah.
them, but they were certainly too heavy to really
Yeah.
do anything. But I think Cadillac is coming into its own with trying to find that performance
Yeah.
side and trying to find that luxury for the true car enthusiast. Do you think they've done it with this entire lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are totally. I can't really figure out a practical reason to have that Escalade, but it is what it is. But if I could only own one car, it's this one.
It's this
I
one.
mean, it literally, I can take it to the track. I can do whatever I want in it. I can drive it to work. If I can only own one car, this is it.
This family sedan is powered by a 6.2-liter twin supercharged V8. Puts out 668 horsepower on 659 foot-pounds of torque. It goes 0 to 60 in about 3.4 seconds and has a top speed over 200 miles an hour. This is one serious grocery getter. This has the same drivetrain as in a Z06 Corvette. So you've got a twin supercharged Corvette in a family sedan. So Vivek, speaking of Escalades, tell us about this. This is a V Escalade, but not a Blackwing.
Yeah, I always thought that was a little strange because these cars have the exact same motor, except this one has larger superchargers. This one weighs a heck of a lot more, and so they needed a little more power. So I think this one makes 682 or around there for horsepower and more torque, but and it. For some reason, this one is a heck of a lot louder. This one is scary when you start up. It shakes your house.
You can hear
it
this
shakes
one
windows. Yeah, and it sounds like a top fuel dragster when you take off. Whereas this one, it's a loud car, but it's nothing like that.
I think they did a pretty good job with the exhaust on this.
Yeah, this car is just silly. There's not really a practical reason for it. It doesn't quite ride as nice as a Platinum Escalade, but it's just ruckus. It for something that's so big, all-wheel drive, launch control, it really, really moves. But it's not like as fast as this. It's not going to handle like a race car. But they did have to put a stiffer suspension. It's got an air suspension because you don't want that much power in a traditional Escalade suspension. It'll start pitching and yawing and everything every time you hit the gas. So this one's a bit stiffer, hence the slightly diminished ride quality. But they basically took a Platinum Escalade and then gave it the V treatment. So it's got all the nice interior and everything like that. And even though it's the same thing, this one's not called a Blackwing because I believe that the Blackwing moniker, they made it to be their highest performance track-focused car. I'm speculating a little bit because the Blackwing whole naming convention got a little messed up. I don't know.
Because it actually came from a project that was on the previous V generation, right?
So the name Blackwing was actually an engine that was developed, and they put in a CT6, which is a larger sedan, more of a luxury car. And they killed that off not too long. And then V used to mean this car. It used to mean like the Corvette Cadillac, right? And then they introduced V Sport, which is a sportier regular one. and sort of watered down what the V brand meant. And so when they released this car, they called it Blackwing, which is their highest level of performance. And then for some reason, this one's not called Blackwing because I guess since it's a truck, it's not going to be the highest level of track performance.
You know, you say there's no practical use for it, but as a busy professional and a dad, I find myself using quite a bit of juice in my SUV to get where I need to be on time.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong, it's fun.
It definitely helps when you're running behind, right?
It brings a smile to my face when I'm on my way home from work and then you're on the highway and you just hammer it in this thing and you hear this monster and feel it take off. It's something else.
Absolutely.
Or if you surprise the occasional, Challenger or Corvette from a stoplight. But,
yeah. So Vivek, you say there's not really a practical use for this car. You can't really get on it around town. You certainly can't take it on a track because it's a truck. And you can't take it off-road even though it's an SUV. So why do you have it?
Yeah, if we, we're car guys. If we start to peel at that thread, our whole system kind of falls apart. So
that's a fair point. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So it's just because it's fun, I guess.
Exactly.
It's wild.
Hey, if you got the garage space, why not? It is a truck, though. Is it good for towing?
Oh, absolutely. I think this one has even higher tow capacity than traditional Escalade. You're going to drink a lot of fuel doing it. Even just me dailying this truck, I get between 10 and 12 miles a gallon. I always joke with my wife that that I think this thing's sexist. It gives her a lot better gas mileage than it gives me. So
it's because our feet weigh a lot more.
Yes,
I think,
that's right.
So as Escalades go, as SUVs go, this is certainly a great looking one, but the best thing about Cadillac is the interior. I'd like to check out the inside and see what we've got. So before we check out the interior, is this the extended or the short?
This is the short, which barely fits in my garage. I can't even imagine having to drive and park the extended on a day-to-day basis.
All these big SUVs, I'm the same way. I drive an Expedition, and so it's big enough for me. I don't drive the XLT. But of course, nice. We got the 22-inch wheels here, looking fantastic. But let's check out this interior. So we got the running boards that pop out. Of course, you got to know what you're stepping into. How many way adjustable seats?
Like a million.
A million way adjustable seats.
And that little button here, which is always that
massage button?
Yeah, that actually triggers the massage, but nobody can ever find it when I tell them about it.
It is something else. If you don't drive a big SUV with a massage seat, is it really even luxury? But we do have this quilted leather seats, air cooled and heated, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's step inside.
Nope, I'm much shorter than you.
So inside, the interior is absolutely gorgeous, great finish out. So it's got this little instrument cluster right here. You can lower or raise your suspension, but what I think is funniest is this V logo right here, just to remind you you're driving a high performance vehicle right as you move to go and use your trailer controls. High performance trailer hauling, not sure if that goes together, but that's not for me to decide. In the console, we've got the instrument cluster right here with the shifter. But Vivek says the best thing about this is how it sounds on startup. So let's do that. I would have to agree. Listen to that crackle. Oh, I love it. In my humble opinion, this is the best sounding of these three cars. So, as expected, the interior, absolutely fantastic, but I am going to have Vivek pull this forward because there's something I want to show you on the back end. Now, the beauty of this truck is there is nothing more American than a big 6,000-pound truck with rear diffusers. Now, Vivek, like you said, there's no practical reason why you should have this, but after checking it out and starting it up, I can understand why you would have this, but there is one thing that confuses me.
All right.
Why would you get an Escalade in A&M colors, my friend?
Yeah, when I get pulled over, they ask me that same question. That's why I have the Longhorn right there.
This thing is amazing, but I'm going to pass it off to Justin to tell you all about the CT4V Blackwing.
Now we are to the newest Blackwing V out here, and this is Cousin Brian with his, make sure I get this right because I threw extra letters in before, CT4 Blackwing V.
The Blackwing.
Damn, I was close. First, let's start with what color is this one, Brian?
So this is cyber yellow.
Okay.
This is specific to Cadillac. However, Chevrolet has the exact same color, except they call it nitro yellow.
Okay, good enough. So let's talk about power on this. These two are V8s? Is this one a V8?
So this is a 3.6 liter V6 twin turbo.
Okay.
It puts out 472 horsepower, 445 pound-feet of torque. It's a 6-speed manual, and it's just absolutely awesome.
So do you have any special brakes on this, or pretty standard brakes?
No, this is standard brakes. These are steel brakes, 6-piston caliper in the front, 4-piston in the back. Never have any issues as far as stopping power or ability.
So does this come with a V8?
No, these only come with a twin turbo V6, and then of course the lesser models come with versions of a V6.
Right. And so this one's turboed, you said, instead of supercharged, right?
That's correct.
Interesting. This is a 20th anniversary edition.
Yes, this is 20th year of the V series.
Just in general?
In general,
Okay.
yeah. So they've been making them for 20 years and obviously gone through various generations. This is the latest generation.
Now, one of the reasons I invited you here, Brian, is because you made an interesting choice in buying this car.
Yes.
We are a Porsche heavy channel, as all you people out there wearing your crests know. And Brian actually went from a GT3 to a Cadillac V, and we're doing a lot of rhyming in this video. Do you feel like now different cars, we talked about that, right? Absolutely.
Different cars.
Day and night, you had a fire-breathing dragon 100% of the time, and then this. So tell me why, and tell me some of the differences here. Which one's better in the end?
Well, I think why. So we spent quite a bit of money and time, because I basically daily drove a GT3.
Right.
Which is not a bad car to daily drive. I mean, it's fairly comfortable for what it is.
Now, you say for what it is. Did that car beat you up at all?
I wouldn't say it beat me up.
Okay.
It was just very firm.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
That's fair.
The suspension was actually really good, but obviously nowhere near the level of suspension that this thing has. The maintenance costs were considerable because I drove it so much.
Right.
And
I mean, for example, I know that a GT3, you said the oil change might be $350.
yeah, so I pay
$100
$100 for an oil change on this one versus $340 or more on an oil change on a GT3.
Okay.
And that's just one example.
Now,
you know.
Now, have you taken this to the track?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like you're missing anything?
I mean, it doesn't have that scream, of course, the 9,000 RPM scream that you get with the GT3. It doesn't have that just insane cornering ability.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, no, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I mean, the suspension on this is absolutely fabulous. It's under-tired, which is to be expected. That's an easy fix. How it deals with corners, how it deals with the speed, flat foot shifting, all these different things that it has from a performance technology standpoint that make this car just an outstanding and honestly unexpected drive.
Really?
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the interior. Speaking of interiors here. Is this car more comfortable than your GT3?
Oh yeah, tons.
Okay.
Tons. Yeah, I mean, getting in and out of it alone.
Sure, you're not laying on the ground, so that makes total sense. This is a manual, right?
This is a manual.
How does the clutch compare to the drive on the GT3?
Well, number one, the GT3 was a PDK.
Oh, that's right. That's right,
yeah,
I forgot.
So it was a 16,
Well,
so they only came that way.
Okay, then let's just change the question to how is the manual on this just in
It
general?
is fabulous.
Really?
So I actually cross-shopped this with BMW M3, and I honestly didn't like the M3 shifter. It was very rubbery. It just didn't feel very precise, didn't feel very engaged.
Okay.
This one, on the other hand, is extremely engaging. You can feel where the car is at any point in time. It's playful. You can get it sideways. You can just, drop the clutch and go. It's got good launch control. It has flat foot shifting, so I can make a change the gear without actually lifting my foot off the throttle.
Really?
For a manual, it's quick. 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. But it's more of seat of the pants than it is anything else. Okay. And it's just fun. And it's a Tremec 6060. It's basically the same transmission I had in my GT350.
Okay. Now, you opened my eyes. I asked you before we made the video, so have these benefited from Corvette engineering and Corvette racing, but you opened my eyes that this is actually a Cadillac
Yeah,
racing thing.
yeah. So Cadillac has their own racing series. They have their own. I mean, honestly, Cadillac seems to be taking control of a lot of the different racing series.
Okay.
They have been in IMSA for years. They won 4 championships with the CTS version, and then they now have their new hypercar, which the first year it ran, it won, I believe, 2nd place in Le Mans.
Okay.
And they've been doing very well in the World Endurance Challenge with this basically new car that uses a V8 that nobody else is using in the hypercar area. So they've expanded their technology on the racetrack, and of course a lot of it trickles down through the various performance cars that they have.
So if someone can't afford a GT3, this is the top of their budget. That's a good decision?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's like I said, it's a very engaging drive. It's the steering is good, the suspension is good, the transmission is great, the comfort. You know, there's a dramatic difference between tour, sport, and track.
Because you said your GT3, you couldn't tell a difference.
No,
It was
I
sport
couldn't
and
tell the
sporty,
difference.
And
Yeah.
there wasn't much different. But here you've got everyday driver up to race car.
Pretty much.
So the transmission changed your mind on the BMW. You said
Yeah.
this is a lot crisper, a lot better. Anything else with the BMW versus this car?
Yes. Don't get me wrong. BMW, extremely quick car, great performer. Okay. I didn't feel like I was part of the experience.
Really?
You know, yes, it
boring?
handled.
Is that what you're saying?
It handled very well and
Okay.
everything else, but I felt like I was just sitting in the experience. I wasn't part of that experience.
Just along for the ride.
It was just good.
Hey, Brian, we love
Yeah.
Hot Sports Opinions. You can say anything you want because we want them to argue down below. And I'm going to warn you, don't read the
Hey,
comments
and
on
I'm
this
fine
video.
with that. I mean, trust me, if you buy an M3, don't get me wrong, it's a great car.
Right. But you choose this all
But
the time.
for what I wanted, for my opinion, basically, I needed something that I felt like I was part of the experience.
Okay.
You know, that when I turned in, I could feel the front end. When I turned in, I could feel the rear end starting to rotate. Those types of things. BMW still does all of that. But I just felt a lot of times I was along for the ride instead of part of it.
So would you say this car feels a little more raw?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Not as raw as a GT3,
No,
but a nice in between of the two.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah, the M3 is a great car, and it's very refined performance. But you can also get stupid in it as well.
Sure.
But I can do the same with this, and I feel like I'm more a part of it.
Vivek's car has all the special anniversary stuff on it. I know this is a 20th anniversary of the V.
That's correct.
He has special sill plates and things like that. Does yours have anything special about this model itself?
It has a sticker.
That's what you got, huh?
No, there's nothing really all that special. I mean, it does have the carbon fiber package and things
But you
of
can
that
get that on
nature.
one that's not a
But you can
20th
get that on
anniversary.
that one that's not 20th anniversary. Plus, they make other versions. They make the IMSA version. You know, there's various versions they make of this. They're all basically the same underlying platform.
Just different stickers.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
So
much.
you bought a V6 turbo.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't you buy a supercharged V8?
Well, a few reasons. I love that car, and I did drive it. I think part of it was just getting that power to the ground. I think probably the biggest part of it was just size of the car.
Okay.
It's a bigger car. It's a heavier car. Still just as good a performer, if not better performer than this one.
Right.
But I wanted something a little smaller, a little bit more mid-range, instead of something that's more ultimate supercar luxury, I guess you could say.
Right.
And I love that car, but I also like, part of the things that I like about this are the aesthetics of the car. So simple things like how the lighting is on the front.
Okay.
So you have, instead of having the two separate pieces, you have one single piece.
Oh, I see. Okay.
On the carbon fiber package, you get these nice canards that you don't get on. It's just a little sportier. Let's
Okay.
put it that way.
I could get that.
So
Now,
part of it's aesthetic.
here's the ultimate question. Did you go after Cyber Yellow, or was it just the one that was available?
I wanted yellow.
Okay.
I've always, you know me, I
I
love
know.
yellow cars.
Right.
There's very few that actually look good in yellow, honestly. I had the AMG GTS that was yellow. Of course, the Porsche was red. Gotta have guards red.
Right.
But I looked at all the different color choices. This is the one that spoke the loudest to me, I guess you could say.
Certainly is loud.
Yeah, and I'm not the type to fly completely under the radar. It's
Right.
just not my personality. So
Now, we haven't talked a lot about the interior. This interior is special.
That's right.
I like this one quite a bit.
Well, it is a sport interior.
Okay.
It is an option, of
Okay.
course. It has the heated, ventilated seats. It's got the sports seats. It's got the entire back side of the seat is Alcantara. It's got you can put a harness on it. You can actually run a harness through it.
Oh, really? Okay. Is that a factory option?
It's not a factory
can
option, but
do
you
it.
can do it after the fact. I love the two-tone. I love the deviated stitching. I like the quilted pattern. It's just very comfortable.
So we're here at the back of the car. Is this part of the carbon fiber package, or is this?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so-
So there's actually 2 carbon fiber packages. Carbon fiber 1, carbon fiber 2. Hey,
Right.
there's an ingenious idea. And so part of this package includes the carbon fiber diffuser.
Okay.
It has a spoiler. It has the side skirts, the canards, the splitter.
Okay.
It also has the carbon fiber interior as well.
Okay.
So basically everything that you can possibly get with carbon fiber is, and it's just,
Some interesting choices that you and I were talking about before the video as well. They didn't do carbon fiber on the vents up front by the wheels.
no,
And they didn't do carbon fiber on the mirror tops,
Yeah.
which seems odd to me.
It
because
is.
A lot of
It
cars
is.
do that. Is there a standard wing if you don't buy the carbon fiber?
yes, there
package?
is.
Okay. So
yeah,
is it body color, I assume?
there is a black painted wing.
Okay.
I believe it's the same size. It's just not carbon fiber.
Okay, now we talked at the beginning of the video about the who's on first nature of Cadillac's naming, okay? So let's talk about, this is a Blackwing V or V Blackwing.
It's a V Blackwing,
But you can buy a V that's not a Blackwing.
and you can buy a base model as well.
Well, I know that. We don't talk about base models
Yeah.
on this channel, right? So what's the difference? If you just buy the V, what are you buying?
So the V has a 3-liter V6.
And this is 3.2?
This is 3.6.
3.6, okay.
The V, I believe, is somewhere in the 300 horsepower range, whereas this is 472. So
Okay.
it's a little over 100 horsepower difference.
Really? Okay.
I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
Um,
Or comment down below if he's wrong.
which I probably
Right,
am.
okay, all right.
I really feel like Cadillac has an image problem. You know, it used to be a simple thing. You had the CTS and you had the CTS V.
Right. And that was it.
Simple.
Yeah.
ATS, ATS V.
Right.
Okay, V was always the performance. Then when they came out with this, they added this middle range. So the
Okay.
V is no longer the performance. The Blackwing is now the performance.
Okay.
So now you have 3 different versions of the same car, but V no longer means V.
Right. So what's the difference in price between a V and a V Blackwing?
Oh,
You know?
probably about, but depending on options,
Sure.
probably about 15 to 25 grand.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I also understand from Sideways Conversation that Blackwing was an engine code as well.
That's right.
Is that
It
still
was.
true?
No, it is not true anymore. I guess technically it is a Blackwing engine because
Right.
it comes in a Blackwing, but no, it is no longer a Blackwing code.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't quite understand all of that.
Well, and then you also mentioned they're
but-
coming out with a Halo
Well,
car
and
as
that's
well.
the thing. They've got and I may be butchering the name here. I believe it's called the Celeste.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be this $340,000 Rolls-Royce competitor. Okay.
Okay.
Yet at the same time, they still sell an XT4
Okay.
that you can buy for 40 grand or less.
Right.
I'm like, there's something's
yeah.
wrong there.
That's a hell of a range.
That's a
right?
big range.
You can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And I think these are really masterpieces.
Absolutely. And
then
performance.
Performance-wise, right?
Yeah.
And certainly Cadillac also means comfort and luxury. So
Of
I
course.
understand having a non-V Escalade or even a CT4.
Right.
But why do you need 3 levels of it? And then you got a Halo car.
I'm kind of with you, and I think there's a lot of people out there, especially like when I go to the Cadillac forums and stuff, they have the same complaints because it seems like they've lost their identity.
Right.
They don't quite, okay, well, do I get a V? Is the V really the, no, wait a minute,
Right.
it's the Blackwing that's the performance. And then when you look at the cars, unless you really know what you're looking at, I mean,
Right.
the V has a different exhaust,
But it still has
but
V on it.
it still says V on it,
Right,
and it still has a lot of the
And you
similarities.
can get it in cyber yellow.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
Right, and so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out over the next couple of years. I think Cadillac is changing, as a lot of companies are.
They are.
And so we'll see. I assume that, like everybody else, they'll have an electric car and then everything else.
And we hope that
Right.
one day they'll be in F1. So
Right,
you know,
totally, 100%. So the most important thing is with any car is we got to hear what it sounds like. Do you
Of
mind to start it
course.
for us?
Absolutely.
Thank you, I'd appreciate it.
Love to.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brian, for bringing it by.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Cadillac of my youth was old, boring sedans. These are far from it. If you want to get into a really high-performance Cadillac, you can get a Corvette in a Cadillac's body. And as a dad with people to haul around, I can appreciate that.
Cadillacs are only old people cars now because that's who can afford them. However, I do not quite understand their marketing strategy with all the different levels, and you can buy just about anything you need from Cadillac from 40,000 up to 100 and something thousand.
Well, maybe this video just helped people be less confused about that.
Perhaps. I tell you what it should make people less confused about, where to buy great t-shirts.
Absolutely.
Our marketing strategy is buy from me so I can afford a V. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Come back and see us.